Howdy. Property dualism is the belief that there are mental and physical properties of one underlying substance, and so the mind is irreducible. It is not reducible to this underlying substance, but rather is a distinct property, like physical properties, of a separate substance. Now, in order to dispute this, I want to posit an argument from dreams. I will define consciousness as M for mind and properties or process as P. If the mind is a property, that is, if it is a subset of what we call properties, then whatever is true of mind must be true of P. There cannot be anything that is true of the mind that wouldn't be true of a property or process. So, with that in mind, let me put this argument forward. Premise 1. A property or process cannot exist alone in any possible world. My justification for that is the fact that you can't have a world of redness without there being something red, or tall without something being tall. Premise 2. It is possible that idealism is true. Premise 3. There is a possible world where M is the only thing that exists, from 2. Therefore, premise 4, there is something that is true of M that's not true of P. Compare premises 1 and 3. Conclusion, therefore, M is not P. This argument is logically valid. 4 and 5 follow necessarily if the premises are true. Property dualists will likely dispute 2 and therefore 3. I want to demonstrate that there are possible worlds where consciousness is the only thing that exists, namely, your dreams. Consider with me a dream. When you're asleep at night and dreaming sweet dreams of sugar cubes and candy canes and Oprah Winfrey, you're in an interesting world of sorts. Now surely, there are neurocorrelates to dreams that we can find on the brain. There are blood fluctuations and chemicals turning around and interacting with each other, etc. However, if you look at the gray matter, the actual content of the dream itself is nowhere to be found. Interesting. In fact, none of the content of your dream actually reduces to the gray matter from which it supposedly emerges. Yet no one would say that the dream doesn't exist or doesn't have characteristics or qualities. Except maybe Daniel Dennett, which goes to show why his views are sorta loony. Correct me if I'm wrong then, but the construct of the dream world then seems to be comprised of your consciousness. It is a mental construct. Pointing out correlates on the brain necessary to have a dream actually won't prove anything, since correlation does not equal identity. Just because brain states and mental states are undeniably correlated says nothing about whether those brain states are mental states. And interestingly, given what we have surveyed about dreams, namely that you won't find a smiling Oprah Winfrey in the gray matter of your brain, it is certainly true that brain states are not mental states, as I've argued elsewhere. Well, that shoots physicalism in the face. Ouch, I pity that fool. However, that also shoots property dualism in the face, and I pity that fool too. Why? Because property dualism, if true, would suggest that the mind is a property. But if the mental is a property or a process, then how is it that an entire possible world, i.e. dream worlds, can be comprised solely of one's mind? They clearly are, since dreams don't reduce to gray matter. By describing the gray matter, you only describe the neurocorrelates to the dream, not the content of the dream or the dream in and of itself. Yet this fact alone renders property dualism a farce. As I've argued, substance dualism, as physicalists and property dualists will be happy to agree, is incoherent as well. How is it possible that an immaterial soul or mind, which is supposed to be a fundamentally different substance than matter, can interact with matter? Interaction only happens via shared property, but the interaction problem, in my view, disqualifies substance dualism as a coherent worldview. Well, that leaves monistic idealism as the only viable option.